Hello everybody, it's Kirbonic Pikmin here, back for yet another Touhou 1cc. This time, it's Touhou 8 Imperishable Night. Yet again, I know I've already done it on my channel, but this time, instead of Rainbow and Yukari, we're doing Marisa and Alice. And they have a slightly different route than Rainbow and Yukari do. They also have a different playstyle, which I felt would be a little interesting to show. Now, Rainbow and Yukari, they have a homing style. Marisa is, as she usually is in the games, a much more front-focused style. Has the highest speed stat in the game, I believe. Maybe not in Imperishable Night, but she usually has the highest speed stat and the highest power. But that's compensated for by the fact that she only shoots directly in front of her. And her hitbox is a little bit bigger than Reimu's. So, this first level, it starts marginally the same as it would if you were playing as Reimu and Yukari. Just take out the targets of highest priority first, the ones with the circles around them, the sigils, whatever you'd call them. You want to turn to your focus shot, which in this case would be Alice. She shoots a small ranged, but I wouldn't say ranged, but a small size but very high damaging laser. Now we're here with Wriggle, and very simple patterns. It's Touhou, like, first stage syndrome. I wouldn't say syndrome, but very simple stuff. Now, in this game, the sigils you see, the way you want to deal with those is when they're surrounding an enemy, you'll want to use the focus fire, because that'll defeat them, that'll kill them a lot quicker, and usually it'll also destroy the bullets surrounding them as well. As you can see as well there, but you'll see it as we play. I'll do that strategically, destroy as many bullets as possible. But as we're probably going to see in an upcoming boss, when a bullet has a sigil around it, it just generally has like a certain aura. If you shoot it while unfocused, it can destroy the bullet or the bullet spawner. I'll explain more in depth whenever we get to an actual instance of it, though. Now we're at the actual stage boss, Wriggle, and again, very simple patterns. You don't even have to do much strategy here, just dodging and focus firing. But if you see those auras, if you wanted to, you can use unfocused fire and destroy them, and it would prevent the blue bullets from being spawned. But again, very simple patterns, so I don't really bother doing that. I just focus on focusing down on them and doing as much damage as quickly as possible. Now, generally, I don't really have much advice to give for the first stage. I do it here, as you can see, because this completely just ruins her pattern. Like, she barely does anything if you get rid of her bullets. This is one of the only patterns you really want to remove them for, but even then, it's still a relatively easy pattern to dodge, and she goes down quick enough. Alright, this time, little bug storm. It goes in a spiral pattern, and then it turns into actual bullets, which one goes in a diagonal motion, one tends to go sort of straight downish, and the larger bullets spawn. It's very simple. Just watch for an opening and move through it, and just be careful that you're not paying attention and get clipped by one from the side. Now, since I performed well on the boss, I got access to the last spell card. You don't actually need to worry about completing these. They do not, like, affect you in your 1cc, but they do give you extra points, which contributes to gaining extra lives and stuff. Now, you see, I'm a moron and accidentally took a hit on Wriggle's last spell card. Please don't be like me. This was only the second time I had ever played as Marisa and Alice, so I was a little not used to things after how generally easy the homing made Reimu's path. Now we're starting off at stage 2. Enemies will spawn from certain sides of the stage. You just want to meet them there and take them all out basically immediately. One thing I do want to note is that things are very, very easy for Marisa and Reimu and Yukari in a lot of cases, because you can just unfocus and take out most enemies. Marisa is a little bit tougher in the fact that you actually have to get in front of them first before you can take them on, so that can result in you getting a little outperformed and outsped, and some enemies actually being able to shoot bullets off, which would not even happen in Reimu's path in most cases. So don't be surprised if you have a little bit more difficulty on your first go. Now, when the ones come from the top with the auras around them, just take them out before they can even shoot bullets. It's the best thing you can do. But if they shoot the bullets, try to kill them as fast as possible to destroy as many bullets as possible, so you don't have to worry about getting walled in. It's relatively simple stuff here. It's just finding them as soon as they come down. They kind of come from like right to middle to left, left to middle to right, but it's not always 100% consistent. very easy to amass time points off of though. Now here's Mystia. This isn't a very noble spell card. It's kind of common across bosses, but it's just a basic pattern where you just have to find the safe spot. And then, you notice I destroyed the bullet spawner, so that way I'd have a safe spot. Now this one, another simple-ish pattern. It's 2 bullets coming from 2 diagonal directions, and you've just gotta find the safe spot. Due to the high damage of Marisa and Alice, you tend to finish a lot of phases quick if you can get yourself in front of the boss. And now onto her first spell card. It's another just find the safe spot. When she does that, switch to unfocus to get rid of the bullet spawn, so that way you'll have a safe spot. The blue bullets do move forward, so that's why destroying them is generally advised, so that way you'll have a spot, a little safety net. But the spell card does go pretty fast, so even if you don't do it, there's not much to worry about. This one can be a little rough, which is why you see me switching between unfocused and focused fire a lot. Because the bullets that the butterflies leave behind will then turn into double-sided fire that will go up and down. And with Mystia's larger orbs, you can get walled in if you're not careful, so try to destroy those. Another safe spot, 1. And then she shoots them off. You want to switch to unfocused quick as possible, because those ones actually go off in random directions and not just straight downwards, so those can be a little dangerous if you're not careful. But we're still early boss Touhou, so it's not too difficult and nothing to worry too much about. Now here's where things get a little dicey. She starts messing with your vision, which is generally a mean thing to do, and especially in a game where bullets are so plentiful. So what you want to do is swap between unfocused and focus fire to destroy the butterflies to result in as few bullets on screen as possible. Now you're going to want to follow the same strategy that I just said for this one, but be a lot more careful, because now you have even less visibility and there's more bullets. But as long as you swap between unfocused and focused fire, you'll want to swap to focus when the bullets are getting close to you if you feel concerned, and then swap to unfocused when you hear more of them being spawned, so that way you can try and take them out as quick as possible. Don't be bad like me, but your bomb can always save you in that situation, because that is a little tough for an early game spell card, just based on the vision fuckery. Now on to stage 3. Excuse me, son. You're going to want to be careful with these. Try not to have spastic movements, because when you do that, it makes the bullets go in a lot of unfavorable directions for you. Try to just stream slightly, so that way the bullets will just go in one place and you can dodge them more easily. You'll also want to take advantage of the focus fire destroying bullets. It'll make a lot of large openings for you that'll be safe to access. This one gave me a bit of an aneurysm the first time, I won't even lie, because I wasn't expecting it at all. Again, it's another difference with Rainbow Nukari of most of that got taken care of pretty quickly. It wasn't something I even had to consider. But again, just be safe in your movements and you'll come out fine. Here's another one where you just want to take them out as quick as possible. And here's the mid-boss, Kine. Now, this is a perfect example of using unfocused fire to make things a little easier for you. Destroying even just one of those bullet spawners will make your life a lot easier, and make it so you can focus on the boss a lot easier, because it'll be less bullets and less lanes you have to worry about. Yeah, Kine is actually the perfect example of this mechanic, because a lot of her spell cards are just based on that. Now for this one, I don't really bother too much with destroying them. I think I destroy one of them, but I just generally focus on dodging, because it's got a simple enough pattern that you can weave between and do damage to her and get through it quick. And she drops a 1-up. You should collect that. Be careful, because a bunch of enemies do spawn from the top immediately, but nothing too much to worry about, especially with Marisa and Alice's high damage output. These ones take a bit more abuse than most enemies, but as long as you can kill them before they start spawning too many bullets, they shouldn't be a concern. Especially with the bullet destruction upon death. One of them drops a bomb. And now it's for the actual stage boss. Now, Kine is a little more difficult than most stage 3 bosses, I'd say. She's definitely tougher than Alice, if you ask me. She has pretty intense bullet spreads. At least they look pretty scary, but you can get through a lot of them by destroying the bullets before they can even activate or get close to you, or destroying the bullet spawners. This one's simple, as in it just spawns bullets to the left and right side. You just have to snake between them to the right and left and make sure you don't get caught. This one is significantly easier with Reimu and Yukari because you're constantly doing damage with the homing. For this one, you have to be in front of her, so that means you have to do a bit more careful movement like that. Alright, here's another one in which it's lots of bullet spam. Now these bullet spawners don't go away as quickly as other ones, so I elected, after not seeing them not go down fast enough, to just focus fire her and deal with the bullets as best as I can. And again, do the high damage output. If you play well, you can get to it pretty quickly. Now for this one, you generally want to, what I like to do is stay in the middle and destroy the first 2 bullet spawners, so that way I won't have to worry about being like walled in. And then I try to snake around carefully to take her out before she starts the second line of fire. This one's in a safe spot, but you'll want to pay attention to where the I got scared and panic bombed, but that one, you just need to be careful and mindful of where the big orbs are in relation to the smaller ones, set where you don't get hit by the big orbs. Because the white space on the big orbs are perfectly safe to go through. Now, this one, I generally don't like to mess with the spell card just because I always have a rough time deciphering the hitbox of those lasers. They can be pretty mean. Now, here's her last spell card. I do not remember if I did this one right, but you just generally have to watch for the lasers and move like slightly to the left and right occasionally. Yeah, I fuck it up. I'm pretty sure I get most of them in my Reimu Yukari playthrough, but I did not do as well in this one. Now we're at stage 4. This is the stage where things actually change up considerably between the 2 playthroughs, because we'll have a different boss at the end. Because if you recall, in the Reimu and Yukari playthrough, we had to fight Marisa, but we're playing as Marisa, so we're not going to fight ourselves, obviously. So this stage starts with a bit more intense than usual, with a lot of bullet fire, but it's still a lot simpler than you expect. Now you'll want to take out these enemies as quick as possible, because they can actually cause a lot of bullet spam if you aren't careful. But they also give an abundance of time points, so we should take advantage of that as well. Generally, you just want to slowly move out of the way if any bullets are coming towards you. And try to take out the enemies as quick as humanly possible, because it'll make things a lot easier for you. Don't let enemies stay on screen longer than they have to. And if you play things smart, you can also destroy an enemy that would destroy bullets, right as a bunch of smaller ones spawn bullets, and it'll also destroy the smaller enemies' bullets as well, resulting in things being significantly easier on your end. Now, I missed that bomb because I'm a moron, but the second the scene flashes away, all the bullets is gone. So you can tell by listening to the music, right as it's about the climax, that's when the stage is going to end. And yes, we're dealing with Reimu. I believe she is a significantly tougher fight than Marisa is. Although I do prefer the Marisa fight just because, yeah. Now, Reimu starts with hardcore bullet spam, but it often gives you a lot of safe spaces. Now, you may be wondering, why am I staying exclusively in shift mode? Do you see all of those sigils in the background? If you are in unfocused mode, those are yin-yang orbs, and I'm sure you can see how much space they're taking up. I don't like to deal with those, so I stay in focus mode as much as possible in Reimu. Because, wow, the abundance of of yin-yang orbs just get a little ridiculous. Now, the difficulty with Reimu is how many bullets she sends off, and how it'll often cause you to need to move around a lot, which can make you be not directly in front of her. And she takes quite a bit of damage, so it's a real hassle to be able to be in front of her and do the damage properly. But I won't say it's not fun. It is a good fight. And Maiden's Capricia, which is theme playing in the background, is actually one of my favorite compositions in the entire franchise, so it's an enjoyable fight. Again, it's alright, this is where things change up a bit. I probably should have explained that last spell card, but yep, it's more bullet spam. This one, you don't actually need to make many major movements for. Well, as I said, I get hit, but that one you don't need to actually make major movements for. You just need to make pay attention to where the bullets are coming from and make small little adjustments to make sure you don't get clipped. This is a little interlude. It's actually a bit of a breather, if you ask me. I believe at the end of it we get either an extra bomb or an extra life. So play your cards right, and don't get hit, please. Again, this is a little bit tougher as Marisa and Alice than it is as Rainbow Yukari, in my opinion, just because of how you need to be in front of the enemy. Now, this is about the point when the fight starts getting a bit more difficult, because Reimu starts moving around a lot, which makes her a lot more difficult to pin down and do damage to. So you kind of have to, in this instance, you have to snake from the left to the right side of the screen, avoid her bullet fire, have it focus on one side of the screen, then move to the other very quickly, so that way the bullet fire will be going to one part of the screen as you're moving to the other. Now this is Evil Ceiling Circle. This one, you kind of have to place yourself in between one of the open spaces. You want to be in one of the larger ones. And now you have to snake between the bullets. You have to have very careful left to right movements and move up and down if you're ever caught in a bad position. Again, stay in a shift mode. I recommend staying in shift mode just because all the yin yang orbs that she starts throwing around, those get very difficult to dodge. And this is the same strategy as the last one. Move to the left and right of the screen to cause the bullet fire. Normally I'd switch to unfocus to dash the other side of the screen, but that would run the risk of you colliding directly with a yin yang orb, so don't let the muscle memory get to you. And don't get hit. Yeah. This fight will probably take a few lives from you, so don't get too stressed. As you can see, I have quite a handful of lives, so it's not something you should let get to you too much. This one's a little rough. She sends out a bunch of spell cards, and they'll start a bunch of cards, and they start focusing on you. So you have to balance moving in between the white orbs and avoiding the homing amulets. And it's pretty scary, if you ask me. It's definitely one of her harder cards at first glance. It might not be one of the most difficult ones, but it's very just intimidating looking. This one. So as you saw when she earlier pulled out a barrier, it causes once it hits the blue streaming section, it will cause the bullets to start coming out of the white one. So for this, you kind of want to move between the two edges, so that way you don't get hit walled in and die. Don't move it directly into bullets like I did. This was my second time ever reaching this fight, so I did not have as much practice as the Marisa fight. But that is probably her hardest spell card, and it's over and done with now. So now we're on to stage 5, and it starts off with hardcore bullet spam, my favorite. Goes down pretty quickly though. Now this stage is going to be a lot of focusing on the larger enemies that let off a lot of bullets at once. So you're going to want to be careful with that. Make sure you take the enemies out as quickly as possible, so that way you don't have to deal with lots of bullets on screen, to just lead to disaster. Try to find the best point to take out as many enemies at once, so that way you don't have to take them out individually at a time and can take out a bunch in one fell sweep. And remember that destroying enemies destroys bullets, so maybe focus on trying to take some down that are in a higher bullet spread territory to make things a little easier on yourself. Now this is when the larger enemies start dropping. If I recall, the pattern is middle, left, right, and then I think it was cycles to middle, left, right again. But yeah, it's middle, left, and right. So you're gonna want to go for the middle and then it swaps to right, and then to left. So the general plan is to meet the enemy on that side, take them out as quickly as possible, so that way they don't fill the screen bullets. Now here's Touhou, one of the only characters to ever kill Zune. Yes. Obviously be careful of those sigils, because if you unfocus, bullets will spawn there. I got a little scared and bombed. It's better to use a bomb than to lose a life. So Touhou just puts a lot of bullets on me, if I'm being honest. There are spaces in which you want to fit between them, and it is a little intimidating at first glance, and you might get hit, but she drops an extra life at the end of things, so as long as you don't get fucked up too much at her fight, it won't be too major of a loss. Just try to avoid getting hit like I did. If you ever worried about getting hit, just bomb. It's better off that way, because her health bar will probably be heavily destroyed by it. Now a lot of enemies kind of start spawning on screen by this point. Due to the forward fire, I have a little bit of trouble taking them out and have to start moving around. This one, you'll want to focus on the larger one first, because taking them out will destroy basically all the bullets on screen. Don't worry yourself too much about the smaller ones, because you'll probably end up taking them out on their own. Focus on the ones that are putting the most bullets on screen. Now for this, you'll want to focus on one at a time, because when you destroy one, it'll basically delete all of the bullets just spawning at once. And you don't have to worry about much, and you get a lot of bombs at the end of it. So here we're at Ryzen. And Ryzen is definitely one of the tougher fights in the game, just because of her special mechanics. Most stage 5 fights, except Sanai, tend to have a special gimmick to them. Ryzen has her weird mindfuckery, which results in a lot of illusion-based stuff. Now, her first spell card starts out easy. It's just simple left and right movement and finding safe space. Now, this is where things start getting interesting. Whenever that little eye effect comes on screen, every bullet on screen becomes intangible and you can move through them. Now, generally, you want to try and find a safe spot and then start moving backwards away from the bullets. So that way, well, yeah, obviously you won't get hit, but it'll move you out of the way and let you get in a position to start damaging her. I generally go to the center. Now, this one puts a lot of bullets on screen, and they move in generally diagonal directions, but they tend to move in clumps, so it'll leave a lot of smaller open spaces for you to squeeze through. Don't get too intimidated, because if you start making a lot of manic movements, you'll get clipped. You want to play as safely and strategically as possible here. Now, this one you can get away with not actually moving for a little bit. I want to say the second rotation is one you have to move by, and then you generally want to get near the bottom, like the middle. Not that close up, though, like a little bit more near the bottom middle, so that way you won't be right where the bullets spawn, but you'll also be able to move backwards. Now, this one is a little scary, depending on your movements. It sends a bunch of bullets directly at the bottom of the screen, and they kind of slowly drip and then move away from you. So you'll have to make minor movements to not get hit, but you want to make as few movements as possible here, because otherwise it'll make some very bad patterns for you. Now, the best strategy I found for this one is to move to the bottom right of the screen, then move to the middle, and then move upwards. There may be another better way of doing things, but you'll be able to hit Ryzen when you're at the bottom right. You'll want to move to the left as quick as possible, though, because the bullets will spawn, and if you aren't quick about it, you'll get hit by the bullets when they spawn. But as long as you start moving up right about when the bullets spawn, you should come out of this pretty fine. Things are ever in a bad situation, you're caught near the middle and the bullet's getting near you, don't be afraid to bomb. That's just general advice. Do not be afraid to bomb. This one, honestly, you might end up timing out on it, or you'll get hit. Don't worry about timing out, because you still, well, beat the spell card out anyways. Now, this one is her final spell card. It's probably one of her harder ones. You generally want to move as far in as possible with the illusions, so that way you don't get caught against the wall. I suck and got hit and had the bomb. But generally it's similar to the other illusion ones, moving as closely as you can, but without getting hit by the bullets. You want to snake backwards a little bit. Now we're beginning stage 6. We're not fighting Eren this time. It's going to be Kaguya, because I had to beat the game once, at least, to even access Kaguya. I forgot I did that. Yeah, please don't do that like I did. Jesus Christ. Having a dumb death like that is always a little disheartening, but this late into the run, you gotta keep persevering, and especially in Imperishable Night, things are a little bit more forgiving here, especially with all the lives you get. Now, for this one, you want to take out the ones that are actually spawning the bullets. Once you take all them out, it'll stop the bullet spawns. It's got an extra life, so that at least slightly makes up for that fool's error. You want to be careful, because the more bunnies that are on screen, the more bullets that will be spawning. So you want to try and take out at least one row to make the bullet rain a little less intensive, then start taking out more and more. Now here's Eren as the mid-boss. She's a little rough for mid-boss standards. In Touhou 8 at least. I bombed a few times because I was unfamiliar with her mid-boss patterns, because I've never fought them before. I think they're different than what they are in Route 6A. So for this one, you want to get near the middle, and it'll spawn a bunch of bullets, like smaller ones. Do I make it through this one? I don't remember if I make it through this one, but again, the age-old advice of don't be afraid the bomb comes in use. You generally want to stay in the middle, and I think you want to move in like a semi-circular rotation to avoid getting hit. Now we're at the final boss, Kaguya, and I did not skip the dialogue super fast because this is the first time I saw it, so I read it. Just gotta wait a second here. But this fight is, I wouldn't say it's as difficult as Yuyuko from 7, but it's comparable to Ramilia from 6. Now she starts off with a bullet spin. Now whenever there's these like blackish, like the bullets with the blackish aura around them, they're gonna move backwards and then shoot forwards. You're gonna want to be careful because the bullets come in sort of wallish patterns, so you want to move around them to avoid getting walled near the bottom of the screen. This one shoots out lasers, so if you want to avoid the lasers, then in between the space of the lasers are gonna be smaller bullets that you'll have to avoid. I got hit, so I just kind of bombed through it. Now this one, don't bother trying to destroy them, if I'm being honest, because doing that will just be less time you're damaging Kaguya, which is more time that there are bullets on screen storming your ass. So try to just focus down on her and do as much damage as possible to get the spell card over with as soon as possible. Because although that unfocused and focused mechanic is helpful, in some cases you just want to get things done with as quickly as possible. Now in this one she shoots lasers and drops a bunch of stars. I remember the pattern on this one being pretty rough, if I'm being honest. The stars can get a little randomized, and if you're unlucky you can get caught with a pretty rough pattern. I took a hit on not even a rough pattern, which is the worst part. On to the next spell card. What is this one? Oh, yeah. So the bullets will not spawn like directly on top of you. That's the little grace in this. They'll stop like right near the bottom of the screen. But you'll have to watch where everything is coming from. I don't know if I was in a bad position or if I could have dodged that and just panicked, but I bombed there to be safe. You generally want to watch out for the black bullets, and then keep an eye on where the large patterns are coming from, so that way you can move and get out of the way. I obviously did not do it well at all. Now, this one is similar to Patchoulie's fire spell card from 4. the fire actually kind of moves out of your way. Just don't be sitting there like a damn fool, because the lasers will start coming, and that first wave of lasers can definitely get you if you're not prepared for them. But the fire tends to mostly move out of the way. You just have to be careful with your movements and make them a bit slower and more clean, so that way the fire won't move erratically, and you can slip in between the fire. But I did not do it that well. That's going to be a common phrase, as you can tell. So now she starts shooting bullets off in a spiral, but as the bullets hit the bottom of the screen, they start turning into red-colored bullets and start moving upwards or diagonally in random directions. It's random directions, and it's relatively slow speeds, but that's kind of what gets you here, because you got decent speed bullets with slower speed ones coming up. So you've got to pay attention to both your sides. Actually, basically all of your sides here. Your top, your bottom, and the bottom right and bottom left mainly. Now here is... Ooh, yeah, I don't think I like this one very much. I usually bomb through it because it's... I couldn't even begin to tell you how to get to this one. I just try to finish it as fast as possible because the star patterns are a little rough to get to in such tight laser spaces. Now, this spell card just sends off a lot of rainbow bullets, but then they start coming from all directions. You gotta quickly find a safe spot to sneak through. And then she starts shooting off. So the general idea for this one that I found that works best for me is going from the bottom of the screen to the middle near where the bullets spawn. So that way it'll cause the bullets to fly to the bottom of the screen and mostly miss you. And then the second wave will go in a sideways direction and miss you as well. And if you can do it properly, you won't have to worry too much about the getting hit by the bullets. Now when they start moving like this, that's when things are going to get a little rough, because you won't be able to move directly up and down as easily anymore. I got hit, so it reset and made things a little bit easier on my end. Now, initially, I honestly thought this was a survival spell card, but then I realized that she just had a ridiculously large health bar. So this is one you have to be very careful working through. Now, this is her traditionally, this would be her final spell card. But since Imperishable Knight has the last spell card mechanic, Kaguya actually has several of them at the end. Now, at the end of her fight, she will hit you with several different last words. I have never gotten through all of them. Now, once you get past that last spell card with the rainbow ones, you have basically completed the 1cc in all intents and purposes. I'm not sure what I think. Getting all of these spell cards, these last words, gives you a slightly better ending. But you complete the normal 1cc once you finish that. I have never made it past that first one. If I'm being honest, like I've beaten the first one, and that's about it. One day, maybe I'll beat all these spell cards, but anytime soon. I have no idea how to get through most of these, and I cannot give much advice. Just the first one you saw me do. That's all. If you complete all of them, I'm pretty sure it just gives you a slightly better ending. But it's nothing to get too fussed over if you don't do your first once you see one. And that is about all I can say here. Touhou 8 is probably one of my personal favorite games in the entries in the series. I have not played many of the entries from 11 onwards. I've played quite a handful of 14 and 16, and I've almost 1cc 13, but I have yet to finish 11. I have put very little time into 12 and 17, and 15 crushes my soul. But the next 1cc, oh my god, I'm losing my mind. The next 1cc, I cannot guarantee you what it would be. Honestly, I might trace back and go to do the extra stages in Touhou 6, 7, or 10, because I actually haven't done those yet. Flandre was a mean son of a bitch, and I still have not gotten past the halfway point of her fight. And I honestly haven't even given Ryan a shot yet. And Suwako, I only got past her stage. So I might do one of them next, or maybe I'll end up once he's seeing Touhou 13 to Touhou 14 in the meantime. Whatever happens, look forward to it. I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to see more of these, please let me know, and I'll see if I can get any better at Touhou games so I actually get them out sooner. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day.